Martyrdom isn't living, my friends. My name is Amy Ballantyne. Welcome to Power to the People Pleasers. I'm so excited to have my guest, Elinor, here. Welcome, Elinor.
Thank you so much, Amy, for having me. I'm excited for the insights that we'll be delving into today.
And you know what? I'm grateful that you're here all the way from Australia. I don't even know what time of day it is there at this point.
9 a.m., so it's a brilliant start to my day. I get to start off on such a high.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I was hoping it wasn't the middle of the night for you. So, as I always do with my guests on Power to the People Pleasers, I'd love to know, have you ever been a people pleaser? And if so, how did that show up in your life?
That has been the overarching symptom of the narrative of my life, coming in with the major life lesson of going from death to rebirth and the karmic template of disempowerment that is the prime recipe for people pleasing. That is the pattern that I know how to do, is to give myself over piece by piece to those who fall into maternal or paternal impactor roles, and then primarily give over my identity in order to save them. That is what creates such a perfect people pleaser, the perfect doormat. I know
Oh,
how to do it so well, and I'm not saying that with any honor or whatnot, because that what does that leave you with? Such a diminished sense of soul left within you.
yes, yes, I appreciate you sharing that. And so the listeners know who we are having our conversation with today. I wanted to share a little bit of your bio. Having an incredible career success and thought leadership, which includes 4 published books and a 3-time award-winning author, podcast host. You would think that Eleanor had it all. Beneath the surface, however, her business success was creating a rift between her external and internal worlds. I'm curious. Split off from one another, the facade of authenticity became heavier to maintain as this rift grew into a chasm. So can you share a little bit more about this and when this was happening and how you overcame that?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking as well. I didn't think that I would be someone who needed to heal or needed to do anything because I had it all. I had it all together. I was the strong, independent, successful, do not mess with me woman. But that was all an illusion. That was what I thought I was. But when I started investigating my own internal arena and my own internal architecture, that was absolutely not the case. And yes, I did good things in my career and I did earn some stripes, and I am grateful to that part of me which tried to get out of this split reality. But the patternings of the past and the wounding were much stronger than simply willpower in the present moment. And I was not one who would find, I did not think I would be the person that at 31 or 32 years old, I'm 33 now, that the only time I would leave the house is to go with my mother to the supermarket. That is how much I had emptied my life out. It was meant to be prime time. You were in your 30s, the career's going well, so on and so forth. I'm finally going to find a relationship, something that I had no concept of until I was 33. And that was really the final expression of the staleness, of the stagnation of my life. It was the final frontier of me becoming the house husband, taking on that superior masculine function in the family role, and thus becoming the third leg to my parents' marriage. It was the final and the prime expression of being parentified for decades. And that was born out of a decision that 4-year-old me made, which is I am to save mother. And to save mother was to become the perfect daughter, the good daughter, the one that could only be okay if she was okay. Because if she wasn't okay, then I could not be okay. How does that pattern then express itself? For me, it was shut down dreams, suspended dreams. My whole life has been one massive missed call, and that was the glue, the chaining, however you wanna call it, that simply kept on coming back into maintaining her reality, which was one that could not accept change. So, because I had taken on her paradigm in its totality, I could not have change in my life. So me trying to get out there and build my career could only go so far before, imagine being held back by an elastic, it could only let you stretch so far, and then it would start self-sabotaging. Now this self-sabotage did not happen to my within my conscious awareness as well. I know it now, but the breaking point or the spiritual awakening was I was 32, overseas on a holiday with my parents. That should be enough said to get alarm bells ringing. But that was the first time in a very long time that I have been outside of Melbourne, outside of the container which causes the somatic stress. And it was the first week there, and I was to go to dinner with my cousin, which seemed like a very normal event, and I was to walk 600 meters around the corner by myself to meet them for dinner. That was not allowed. The crying and hysterics that ensued when I said I would be going out to do so was insane, and I had to call my cousin with my tail between my legs in total embarrassment and just say, "Just pick me up, I will explain later." And she didn't understand why. It was a minute drive around a corner. And fast forward a few days, the density of this weighed down on me, and I was messaging my then best friend, now partner, and relaying this to him, and I couldn't make heads or tails from it. And he sent me the concept of the devouring mother. It's a Jungian concept.
Yeah.
And I read into it, and the wave of guilt, of grief, of sadness came over me, and I had an emotional breakdown. I cried from the soul that evening, and I looked myself dead straight in the eye, and I said, "I have no idea how I'm going to get myself out of this. It's not that I didn't try. I tried the personal development, I tried the journaling and the affirmations, and you Google how to set boundaries with your mother. I did all that." And that emotional breakdown was the turning point itself. And again, a quote by Jung, when I'm truly paraphrasing, when conscious forces have fried themselves, the unconscious forces will come to aid. And that is where I was invited into the deep realm of the shadow realm, of the unconscious, where 95% of myself lived, that was stored, archived, neglected, abused from me emotionally by not allowing to see the light of day for 30 years. And that was the initiation to the reclamation of myself, to extract myself piece by piece from the reality which was not allowing for me to become anything but small.
Wow. Well, thank goodness you went on that vacation. Thank good
Well,
like,
look
I
at it.
mean, some of these moments that you're talking about, like just a moment, thank goodness there was the breakdown that caused that explosion around you walking around the corner that would like right?
Absolutely. I In that moment, it
Oh,
was soul level
so
devastation,
oh, yeah.
and I'm not, aggrandizing this for any reason, because many people do not look at emotional trauma as traumatic. It's like, get over it.
Mhm,
It was in the past. Just just move out. Just have a relationship. Okay, I understand that, but why,
mhm,
when you're closer to your 40s than you are your 20s, is this not happening? And yes,
mhm,
that breakdown in the moment, it was I didn't I didn't know how to even deal with this level of emotion that was
yeah,
surfacing, because it was like a volcano at that point. But I am so grateful for that moment in time and what
yeah,
ensued, and for my cousin there, who
mm,
was my first light of hopium, and I needed that because so many parts of me, as my best friend then, now partner, said, it wasn't that parts of me weren't there, they had died and I was only on life support.
mhm.
And we do not think that a loss of identity is traumatic,
Oh,
but it is,
it
and this
is!
needs it is. But who can see this? It's very hard for people to see this because they haven't looked at that part of themselves, so they will not give validity to that experience. So that breakdown was the breakthrough, and I right, now I kiss it on the forehead kind of
Yeah.
thing. It had to happen, and it was I'm so grateful that it happened. It had to shatter that
Wow.
way.
Wow. I love your line, "The breakdown was the breakthrough." And I'm hopeful that the people listening to this will potentially hear a nugget that helps them start to chip away at where they might be struggling. And so tell me a little bit more about Martyrdom Isn't Living. I know that this is something you are deeply passionate about talking about. Let's dig into this for those people that are curious about this topic.
If we were in prison, do we go to the guard and negotiate our way out of it? Do we go to the guard and be like, "Excuse me, sir," or "Excuse me, ma'am, may I please have my power back? I've given it over to you, and I can see that you're using it for your own intents because you can't access your own. But look, you won't give it back to me in 100% form. May I have 10%? Do you
Oh,
think that's feasible?" Do we do that if that was a real world scenario?
no, but that's such a good example.
That's exactly what we're doing when we have given ourselves over and
Wow.
we think that in the further giving away and further negotiation and the further lack of boundaries and the further good behavior will enable our liberation, us experiencing our freedom. We do not negotiate for our power from those that their survival is fundamentally built on accessing that.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the shortest answer to that
Mhm.
question. We cannot think, or we do think, because that is a pattern fundamentally of I will keep on giving myself over, I will empty
Mhm.
myself out. And I hope that in you seeing that, then I will get the love that I'm not
Mhm.
giving myself. I
Yeah.
will get the whatever it is, insert whatever it is that you are seeking, the validity,
Mhm.
the authority, whatever it is that you are seeking. It doesn't work that way. It fundamentally doesn't. And we do this not just with parents, we do that with the replica parents. We do
Mhm.
that with the boss. I will stay for 1 hour later and I will
Yeah.
get this project done because I hope that my boss, who is fulfilling the father role or the mother role, whatever role,
Mhm.
will will reward me. And we get to
Appreciate me. Yep.
appreciate me. Give me permission to be me. We are
Wow.
unconsciously negotiating this in so many interactions, whether it's with the boss, with the sister, with the brother, whoever is fulfilling that role for you in that in your
Mhm.
life at the moment.
So
It's
you talk
flawed.
about
It doesn't
breaking
work.
patterns. So how do we what are your recommendations if you had a couple to help people other than having this breakdown, which is the breakthrough, or is that the only way?
We don't want it to get to that, of course.
I know.
How does it work? The universe will lightly tap you on the shoulder. It's like, "Excuse me, you're cheating on yourself, you are dishonoring yourself, and I'm going to show you that by look, you feel a little bit uneasy in your body, but it's like that anxiety feeling. It's like, ah, I'm clamming up. Okay, you did not get the message. I'm going to leave a parcel. You did not open the parcel. I will throw a brick at you. It's going to hurt. Oh, look, you didn't get it either. All right,
Mm,
we're going to we have to tear this whole thing down."
mm,
And in order to answer the question, many tools come to aid, and how we say it, it's the right tool for the right job. The first tool that came online for me was astrology to start showing me the map of the undercurrents because people aren't going to validate your experience. So we need tools that speak a language that common people who are just maintaining their own illusions do not have access to.
yeah.
This year is the year of I will destroy you energy. I will clear out your illusions.
Oh,
If I didn't have that, then you think you're going mad because the impactors, they're not going to tell you, yes, you know what, I did traumatize you for 30 years and, this is what's happening. They're not going to do that.
no.
So there were some tools that started to show me, this is who Eleanor is
Mhm.
on a soul level. This is who her soul chose to be the character of.
Mm.
Because without that baseline, I didn't know how far I had fallen from that. Then there were other somatic practices. There are many healing modalities which all point in the same direction of popping open the hood and seeing what lies in your unconscious, because that is where the truth lies. That is it, for some people, depending on where they are in their journey, it's body consciousness, what's lying in the mysteries of our bodies. They hold the wisdom that we have, which of
Mm.
course includes the heart center. I only had a catharsis of the heart 14 months ago, realizing I had one. I'm not a tin can, but that's who I presented as, because that is what the distorted patriarchy tells us that we need to act as. It is safe that way. It is quite the opposite. Whether it's hypnosis, again, there are many modalities which
Mm.
get you looking under the hood and excavating for truth. That's
Mm.
what we're looking for, the truth, because we're familiar with the illusions. It keeps us trapped out of our bodies. It keeps us in a state of dis-ease. And how
Yes.
does that manifest? For many people in many different ways. They're
Mhm.
very subtle. Even an excess runny nose is the body's way of telling you that something is wrong. The body
Mhm.
does not do anything by accident. It is a premium, prime, intelligent vehicle, as is the soul. It has the knowing, but the conscious mind cannot access that alone. And that is where, for some people like me, it fried itself. Other forces came to rescue. Do we want it to get to that stage? Absolutely not. But do people have enough pain sometimes and suffering? Are they connected enough with their suffering to want to seek a greater level of truth?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a conversation with someone today and was trying to uncover how painful the experience was, and are they in enough pain that they're ready and willing to take the action to no longer be in that state, or are they just kind of, you know, sticking with the status quo? And I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yes, absolutely. And
Mhm.
the physical diseases that we get, that's the final frontier of the body trying to send you a signal. Nothing is coincidence. Nothing is an accident. And if we aren't paying attention to our body, as I had not, then of course you're going to miss all the cues.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you find yourself, as you were saying, in those repeating patterns. It's like, why is this still happening? That is the invitation to go deeper, because some problems cannot be solved at a 3D level because they were not created at a 3D level. And that is the invitation to go deeper and higher.
Mhm. And tell me a bit about, you have a program called The Truth of You, this self-discovery program. How does that play into the work that you're doing to help people in this way?
As myself and my partner were going down the journey of self reclamation, of discovering our truth, there was, with many modalities, there was a perspective missing. And because there was a perspective missing, why is this still happening? Either the language was missing, the perspective was missing, the depth of the perspective was missing. So we needed, from where we found ourselves, we needed to go cosmic
Mm,
in our exploration for answers. Because if I had the answers, then we would move, things would shift.
yeah.
But things were not shifting. And I say this in respect that things still do take time to
Mhm.
shift. I understand that. But when we were experiencing so many modalities, not one of them were able to provide the most holistic and deep perspective. And they also lack, to a certain extent, spirit. They
Mm,
they lack that intersection of where soul meets body. And that's
wow.
where we operate. Because when soul meets body, then you are able to put yourself back into the center of your reality and have a direct experience of you at the center of reality, because we lose sight of the most obvious truths. that you
Mhm.
are reality experiencing itself. So until we do not reinstate ourselves there, we carry false perceptions, false
Mhm.
beliefs. We give away false, our wisdom or our excavation process to authorities, and it just goes on, and we carry such deep energetic distortions that do not allow ourselves to experience reality as we desire. And it seems so simple, but look at how many people are not experiencing that. And at the same time, we think that this is so complex, and we get told this all the time in our hypnosis sessions.
Mhm.
Humans love to make things complex.
Yes.
Spirituality Spirituality is not complex. Spirituality is practical. Spirituality is this reality. It's not that I'm over here and you're over there and spirituality is somewhere over there.
There.
Something meta and the stars and the planets and it's all
Mhm.
woo. No, there's so many misconceptions about that as well. So making it practical, making it grounded, because look, you have a life to live, you have responsibilities, you have shit to do. We're not going to sit in this, etheric space that has no relevance to your career, to your marriage, to your anything that is happening at this point in time. And when spirituality has been abstracted so much, it therefore becomes something that you can't grasp. So then it just, feels like this mental masturbation. And it's like, well, what's the point of this? How is this going to help me kind of thing?
Mhm.
So we're that's really where the space that we wanna operate at is
Mm.
the space between all of the models and none of the models as well,
Wow.
which is also quite a hard, quote, unquote, "sell" because people like this does this and this does that.
Yes.
But when we are initiated into the darkness of ourselves, there is no one roadmap, there is no one size step-by-step 12-step program that
Mm.
fits all. Because no one is experiencing reality like you are. No one has come in with your soul contracts, with your astrological blueprint, with your human design, with your imprint. No one has come in with any template like you. There are collective similarities, absolutely.
Mhm.
No one knows what it's like to be you. And therefore, only you know what the truth of you is. And
Mm.
that's what we're there to guide on.
Wow. I 100 billion% agree. My model of reality would be different than your model of reality, right? And I'm excited to hear how you continue to make a difference and impact for people in this space. It's incredible that you're doing this work, and I'd love to know what, if anything, haven't you shared on this topic of martyrdom isn't living that you feel would be valuable to share with our listeners as we near our end today?
We think that the suffering is honorable.
Oh.
We think that if we just cut ourselves up into many different pieces and everyone gets a piece of us, then it is honorable. It is not. There is no honor in maintaining our suffering because what are we doing? We are at war with ourselves, with our mental body, our physical body, our emotional body, our spiritual body. And I can only encourage listeners, it can be so hard and so scary to lean into that suffering. And even if people do that, asking for any sort of guidance, we have been programmed and patterned to not ask, to not speak about this level of traumatic experiences because it seems as a weakness.
Mhm.
Even if that work just to get yourself to say, "Hey, I'm not okay," is the work that you do by yourself, that is phenomenal. And that's why I love podcasts like this because it starts to de-pattern and give permission that sure, you may have success into the world, there's stuff going on. Maybe there's nothing happening in the world, there's stuff going on. You do have the permission to look at it, and you do have the permission to give yourself peace because
Mhm.
that's what we're finding through our work. That's all that people are seeking. They want inner peace. And from
Mhm.
that point, there can be as much chaos in other areas, but they have been able to center themselves to where they have been trying to get to.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, I feel that as well, and I feel the word relief is the one that comes up a lot, which, is what people feel when they have peace, is just this relief and ease, right? Wow. I am so grateful for you being here today and for you sharing your wisdom, for you sharing your story, for you walking this journey, for your soul walking this journey, having to go through this so that you can be a light and help others on the other side of their darkness. So I'm grateful that you're here.
And you are doing the same. Thank you very much for holding the space to allow these conversations because they are rare. Most of us do not have the ability to go to the 5 closest people we know and even talk to this level. So thank you for your work as well.
Thank you. So, as we wrap up, I want to share that I will be posting all of your links and all of the juicy information about you so people can connect with you after. And I wish you all the best. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into Power to the People Pleasers yet again. Please stay tuned for the next episode